Through the magic of me being very slow to edit videos and YouTube nuking my channel the first time I tried to launch it, I started and was supposed to finish Mascot Romance over a year ago. So is this video me announcing that I secretly finished it off screen? No, not at all. Barely worked on it at all. I made the critical mistake of basing my self-worth on whether or not I finished. So when I didn't, I was just like, oh God, I should just lie in the road. With how completely crushing that failure was, will I ever attempt another 30-day challenge? Provably, yes, because I already did one. I just made a video on my first ever game jam and how great it was. Like, I had such a good time. I felt so awesome after actually completing that I just wanted to do another jam. And that's when I discovered itch.io has recommended jams. If you go to your dashboard, I'd never really gotten to my dashboard. So I went to my dashboard. There was a jam that was exactly what I was trying to do a year ago. It's called Spooktober, and I signed up, obviously. That's what this video is about. I decided I wanted to do a teen slasher starring monsters, and I was going to call it something like Creature Camp or One Monstrous Night, and those are terrible titles. And when I told my husband, like, the idea, he was immediately like, you should call it The Final Ghoul, which is so the perfect name, and I don't know how I didn't think of it. Like, I was beating myself up like, oh my God, it was right there. I'm so glad that he pitched that. Who knows if I would have actually come to that conclusion. Title in hand, the first thing I did was figure out how many characters and like what they were gonna be. I didn't want them to be too humanoid. I'm really pushing it with the final product with having a goblin and an imp. Mostly I ruled out things like ghosts and vampires and gorgons. I landed on 10 characters, and I'll put their species up on screen. Moth Boy is the only character who existed previously. Fun fact, if you play through the secret ending of my visual novel 2.5 Dino Men, there's actually a billboard with Moth Boy on it. He got a huge redesign. The story behind him is I just made a one-off comic about how the things I draw are never actually scary. So obviously I'm trying to do a comedy horror visual novel. Quick run through of everyone else. There's Luca, Anna, Hazen, Sylvia, Sean, Harper, Pixel, Limerick, and Cheese. Cheese was actually originally going to be called Goose, but then I thought of like 2 different jokes that are in the game. I immediately had issues. I plan to use Renpie, which I do know how to say now. The pie is for Python. Things change in a year. You learn how to pronounce things. But I got an error message that I wasn't going to try to figure out how to use this program. It's actually really obtuse just opening it for the first time. I'm sure people who are big fans of it are like, what are you talking about? This is the easiest thing ever. But I was very intimidated. I just went crawling with my tail between my legs back to Tyranno Builder, which I have now used over 200 hours. It's infuriatingly basic, but so am I. Because of this, I couldn't let people name the player character. That was the original plan. That's why the prologue is set up the way it is. It's like, you are a goblin named, and then you were supposed to be able to enter your name. Now it's just Kim. I did figure it out for Mascot Romance how to do it, but the way it's done using Tyranno script, it just makes it so certain text boxes have to be double-clicked instead of single-clicked, and it's just mildly annoying. Hi, editing backlog lady here. I went to go get footage of having to double click on certain text boxes to get them to move forward, and the problem just doesn't exist. I can't get footage of it. It's not a thing, and I don't know, it just fixed itself, or I'm misremembering. I don't think I'm misremembering because it was really annoying. But yeah, I could have had you name your player character, and I just didn't. I didn't know that was a thing. My bad. Oh, and something else I forgot to mention in this video is that the first thing to go, like I knew I wasn't gonna have time to do it, was sound effects. So there are basically 0 sound effects in The Final Ghoul. It's worse for it, but it is what it is. Alright, back to the video. And I didn't want to deal with it. Same with trying to figure out custom buttons. I had drawn custom buttons when I was planning to use Renpie, and then just later, which isn't that much later because this is only 30 days, and I actually spent like the first 2 weeks just wasting time. But I significantly had to cut down my scenes. In the finished product, you can only choose to tent with either Cheese or Moth Boy, and that determines your ending. You were originally supposed to be able to pick between like 5 different tents, but Like I said, I ran out of time, so I couldn't have that many different endings. You were supposed to be able to, depending on where you slept, you would get different information, which would affect basically whether Limerick lived or died. Now it's all predetermined. It's unfortunate, but it just wasn't enough time. I even took the last week of September off from work, and I'm really gonna regret it. Like, I'm about to get my paycheck from that time. That was a bad plan. I did figure it would all be worth it in the end, because I would finish and feel so good about finishing. Finishing made me feel really empty. I don't know if that's just because I couldn't do as much as I wanted, but it's like a game jam. You've got to let that go. You can now play it if you so choose. It is up on my itch page. I really shouldn't beat myself up. I shouldn't be like, that was a waste of my time, because not only did I finish, but that was faster than I've finished any project ever. I'm normally very, very slow. I didn't get the high I was expecting. At the very least, I don't need to beat myself up for failing. And as for Mascot Romance, I will get to it.